Okay, so one of my favorite parts of this class is actually the opportunity to read again through this remarkable book by V.S. Ramachandran, which is called Phantoms in the Brain. And Phantoms in the Brain is educational, informative, engaging, fascinating, compelling, a terrific survey of individual case studies. Ramachandran is a neurologist, and he has great compassion and interest actually in his patients, and he is throws out a lot of very interesting ideas, some of which are later borne out by actual research, and others which are not. So your job here during this portion of the course is actually to first get the book. It's an older book, so it should be very accessible and pretty cheap, which is part of the goal here. But it will require additional current research on what we know now about a lot of these topics. So I like this because it's very well written, again, engagingly written, etc. It'll pique your interest, I think. It will bring up a lot of questions in your mind. It'll get you sort of thinking a little freely about stuff, about the relationship between brain and behavior, and the importance of listening to people and not discounting their experiences. But then, I would like you to go further and find current research on the topics that pique your interest. And we're going to be reporting back and discussing that. So first off, you're going to form 6 separate groups. And there are 12 chapters in this book. And so each group, there'll be 6 groups. Each group will cover 2 chapters. So group 1 will cover chapters 1 and 2. Group 2 will cover chapters 3 and 4, and so on. You're going to be able to sign up for these groups with a Google Doc group or Google sheet here. Actually, to sign up, it's the link is right here on D2L, and the chapters, again, are covering a variety of fascinating neurological conditions that often appear bizarre and unusual and initially difficult to explain. And also, I do want to mention that some of the later topics covered by the author are still quite contentious and often inspire rather heated debate. But once you are in your group, I want you to start collaborating. And there are specific discussion groups on discussion forums on D2L here, for each one of these groups. And I've also put a few, background articles and some materials, etc., that I find that I think you might find interesting. But I want you to go further and find your own individual research on these topics. And again, I expect each group to conduct research concerning our current understanding of the neurological conditions described in the book, and perhaps, some related conditions that are not mentioned by Ramachandran, and what we now know about the potential physiological basis of these conditions, right? This will involve a search of the relevant research literature, looking for current peer-reviewed articles, right, on phantom limb phenomena, anosognosia, Charles Bonnet syndrome, etc. You should integrate what you discover through this research into your group presentation. So the job of each group is to decide what to present from each set of chapters. So when you're meeting together in our review sessions on Fridays or in these discussion forums, I'd like you to sort of, make a decision. Like, I'm covering this, you're covering that, you're covering that. So you divide up, into equal chunks, what people are going to be doing. Dole out responsibility for preparation equally amongst all members. Everyone is expected to present, actually, and each person in each group is expected to contribute equally. So you are more than welcome to prepare your presentations together, or you can do it individually. And I know we have students that are taking the class asynchronously, so they're not going to be, necessarily attending like a Friday review group session, for example. They can certainly participate in the discussion forum that's dedicated to each group, however, and they can, get a portion that they're expected to present, for example, and then do their own, independent research and prepare, their presentation. We would like all the presentation materials. They're going to be YouTube videos that I'll talk about here in a moment, and also slides or other, presentation materials that you're utilizing in your presentation have to be, the links for all of these and the files for all of these have to be sent to our TAs at least 24 hours before the date of your presentation. It does really help to have just one single, sort of PowerPoint, for example, per group. But if it's separate, it's separate. Just let us know what the order of presentation actually happens to be. So for the presenters in each group, right? Each of you will prepare a 3 to 5 minute YouTube presentation on your topic. And again, you must send our TAs the link for your YouTube video, plus any PDFs of your slides or, a PowerPoint file, and any relevant links no less than 24 hours before your classroom presentation, so they can be posted up here on D2L so we can all see them and we can get them easily, during our course presentation. For the synchronous group, for those in the synchronous section of the course, be prepared on the date for your group's presentation to introduce your chapters in our Zoom session and offer summaries of what you found and learned from your research efforts. So you're going to actually do your presentation. You can do it live, which I'd kind of like you to do. I'd like you to actually, we're gonna turn it over to you. We're gonna make you a host or co-host, right? And then you can do your presentation on your chapter topic, and you can have control. You can share your screen, and I'm happy to move it up and down. If you have embedded your, PowerPoint or your PDF file, for your presentation materials. And then if you're in the asynchronous group, we will watch your video. So in the live version of this class, we have all sorts of, classroom. You get to use the projector and, all the other classroom, technology actually, and get some experience doing that. Okay, for those of you who are not presenting on a specific day. So, if it's group one's presentation day, everybody in group one is going to be presenting either live, if you're in the synchronous version of the course, or with your video. However, for those who are not presenting, who are not in group one on that day, you are required to post questions, at least a question, about the chapters that are being presented in the discussion forum. So, students not presenting on a particular date are required to post questions about the chapters they've read to the relevant online discussion forum. And also, don't just put in a question that, the chapters kind of sparked in you, but also do a little research on that question that the chapters kind of provoked. So I want to see not only the question, that you came up with, from the reading of those chapters that are being presented that day, but also what you found in terms of current research on that question, and maybe some potential ideas about, how to answer that question, right? So also include possible answers to your question. Do research on what is currently known about the question you ask and include the information in your post. Half the credit for each posted question is granted for the question itself, right? Submitted by the deadline. So this also has to come into the forum. It has to be posted in the forum at least 24 hours before the group is going to be presenting on this topic. And half is going to be for the posted research findings, right? And you can post at any time, but no later than 24 hours before the relevant presentation is delivered in class. These questions are actually designed to help presenters understand what intrigues their classmates, right, and may form the basis of our discussion of the chapters in class as well. And these questions should also help prepare students who are not presenting to join our Zoom or in-class discussions as knowledgeable participants. Because you've already read the chapters, presumably, but you've also not only read them, but also come up with some questions that are provoked by the chapters, and then also done your own research, basically on, that particular question. So I look forward to your presentations and your questions. Please let me know if you have any questions about, how to organize and prepare. There's material up on D2L on, how to create a YouTube video and how to, post it and get the link, The YouTube video should be public so that we can actually see it. You can certainly erase or get rid of the YouTube video after this part of the course is done, so it doesn't have to live forever. You also don't necessarily have to personally appear on the YouTube video. It could be you reading over slides that you've got. So it's totally up to you how you want to organize that specific YouTube video. But we need to get that video in order to assess and present for those in the asynchronous portion of the class. Okay, let me know if you have questions.